Quality of public services and effectiveness of public administration is of key importance to operation of modern European societies. Especially, central public administration plays an important role in creation and enforcement of state public policies as well as cooperation with the EU and other international structures. Therefore, working conditions of the civil servants should be in our focus to make sure that public services could be accessed by all citizens equally. Central public administration has also an important function in implementing EU regulations and advancing European integration, which is a strategic goal, especially for the Central and Eastern European countries.
In our SICO project, we focused on challenges related to working conditions in the central public administration in OSCE countries and in Serbia, a candidate country. Despite some country specificities, some similarities could be observed. These include increased work intensity in recent years. Heavier workload is the result of the necessity to cope with the ongoing polycrisis, whose various layers include the COVID-19 pandemic, economic instability, or the war in Ukraine, to name just the key ones. These hardships are further amplified by political pressures on reducing public spending on public administration, leading to austerity measures. Austerity means wage stagnation, which, given the negative impact of inflation in recent years, leads to actual fall in real wages and pauperization of employees. As a consequence, working for CPA has been turning less and less attractive, and there is a decreasing interest among young people in choosing that career path. At the end of the day, a labor shortage is growing. Central public administration in Central and Eastern Europe has also to deal with some structural issues, such as hierarchical management models that limit the space for articulating workers' interests, and more recently, the challenge of digitalization of public services, and the need to move on towards remote working models and team management.
The need to respond to the polycrisis and the challenge of digitalization of public services have shaped the main features of working conditions in central public administration in recent years. So it is important to understand the tools available to workers to articulate their interests and improve their working conditions in response to austerity, flexibilization and standardization of work.
Unlike in other sectors on our focus, there are more limitations of the right to collective bargaining in central public administration sector. For example, in Poland, civil servants are not allowed to conclude collective agreements regulating their working conditions. In many Central Eastern European countries, the right to strike in the sector is either non-existent or limited because of various legal and practical reasons. Therefore, civil servants often face difficulties in improving their working conditions via collective bargaining. Levels of unionization in central public administration are generally low or very low. Although the sector does relatively better than the average in this respect, there is still room for strengthening the resources of the unions and for building up their capacity to mobilize workers.
In Lithuania, as a result of the recent reform of the labor law, collective agreements are generally applicable to employees who are members of the trade unions that concluded them. Therefore, trade unions are now empowered to negotiate only on the behalf of and for their members, and they have the power not to agree on the applications of the negotiated provisions to non-union members. Thus, only employees' union members can benefit from agreements reached with the employer, which is in practice an excellent incentive to workers to join unions.
In our comparative report in the CISO project, you may read more about the challenges faced by the workers in central public administration in Central and Eastern Europe, where we focused on key problems related to working conditions and collective labor relations.